Thanks, Sally. The headlines in the southeast today. The BBC discovers a surgeon at a Sussex hospital used his penknife to perform surgery. Language schools say they may never recover after Brexit, as many international students don't have passports.
It is definitely a Brexit-related decision and is an extra layer of bureaucracy.
And we've still got a few showers to come this afternoon, but over the next few days the weather will settle down as it's going to be drier and brighter.
Hello, welcome to the programme. I'm Ellie Crisell. A BBC investigation has discovered that a surgeon at a crisis-hit NHS trust used his Swiss Army penknife to open up the chest of a patient because he claimed he couldn't find a sterile scalpel. University Hospital Sussex has said the operation was an emergency, but the surgeon's actions were outside normal procedures and should not have been necessary. Joe Pike has more.
Normally, the surgeon used his penknife to cut fruit for his lunch. This time, he used it to open up a patient's chest. They survived, but the surgeon's colleagues called his decision questionable and were very surprised he was unable to find a scalpel. His employer said it was an emergency, but his actions were outside normal procedures and should not have been necessary.
Yes, I think there are self-evident concerns that it appears to be dysfunctional.
This expert surgeon with 30 years' experience is appalled.
To take a penknife out of your pocket to open somebody's chest, it surprises me and appalls me.
Why does it appall you?
Well, firstly, it's not sterile. Secondly, it's not an operating instrument. And thirdly, all the kit was there.
The same surgeon, who the BBC is not naming, carried out 3 supposedly low-risk operations within 2 months at this hospital in Worthing. All 3 of the patients died soon after. The daughter of one of them has asked to be kept anonymous, but she wants answers.
We didn't understand how Mum died. No one seemed to know why the operation wasn't successful. There needs to be a thorough investigation into these deaths, not just an action plan. That's not enough.
These operations usually have just a 1% chance of ending in death, according to Professor Poston. And after looking at the surgeon's employment record, which included a long wait to become a consultant, he is surprised and concerned.
This suggests problems during the course of the training. I don't know this individual, but you would be concerned that there were problems during the course of that training and progression through training.
Internal documents show the trust concluded all 3 patients who died had experienced poor care. The trust said our investigations did not raise concerns about the surgeries themselves, but did identify common themes for improvement, which we acted on immediately. Separately, police are considering manslaughter and corporate manslaughter charges in relation to at least 105 cases of alleged medical negligence at University Hospital Sussex. 4 local MPs are now calling on the Health Secretary to act. Joe Pike, BBC South East Today, Brighton.
Well, health correspondent Mark is here to give us some context about this. Mark, this is really shocking and begs the question, how did this happen?
Absolutely, and this trust of course has a history of surgical problems in its departments there, and of course it should not have happened, it never should happen. But for a bit of context, this happened with the patient before they got into an operating theatre. They had a cardiac arrest, the patient survived, he and his family were told about this in February 2023 when it happened. And it was before he even got into an operating theatre, but clearly shouldn't have been done in this way. Now, the Trust say in all of the cases that Joe mentions in his report, there has been a thorough investigation, that action has been taken, lessons learnt, and they are in touch with the families. And so I should say today, for anyone who has to go into that hospital, they perform 150,000 odd operations a year. The vast majority are very successful, but it doesn't take away from how shocking this particular incident actually is, Ellie.
Indeed, and we'll have more detail on this in our 6:30 programme. Thank you, Mark. A man has died following a crash involving a car and a sewage tanker in East Sussex. The car driver, who was 32, died at the scene yesterday in Cross in Hand near Heathfield. A man and a woman in their 20s are in hospital with life-threatening injuries. Sussex police are appealing for information. An organised crime group which imported and distributed nearly 1.5 tons of cocaine have been jailed for more than 90 years between them. Danny Smith, Christian Lee and Nicky Fusedale were sentenced at Maidstone Crown Court. The gang brought some of the drugs into the UK through the port of Sheerness within consignments of bananas. The pilot whose plane crashed at the Shoreham Air Show, killing 11 men, is trying to get his flying licence back. Andrew Hill is appealing a decision by the Civil Aviation Authority to revoke it. Hill was performing a stunt in a Hawker Hunter at the Shoreham Air Show when it crashed on the A27 in 2015. He was cleared of gross negligence manslaughter before a coroner ruled all 11 men had been unlawfully killed. Language schools in the southeast say they may never recover from a post-Brexit fall in international student numbers. Fewer people from within the EU have been choosing to study here since the UK left because they've had to carry a passport. The government since introduced a travel permit to make it easier, but to apply for it, students have to have a passport, as Peter Whittlesey explains.
Language schools have been struggling since Brexit. At Hildeston in Broadstairs, they believe the requirement to have a passport rather than travel on an identity card has put EU citizens off. That's backed up by these students from Germany.
In all other European countries, you can travel just by your ID, and I had to get a passport just for the trip.
I think in my friend group, not many people have a passport.
So imagine the language school industry's joy when the government announced EU citizens could travel on their identity cards if they paid £10 under the soon-to-be introduced electronic travel authorisation scheme. Then imagine their dismay when they found out to apply for the ETA scheme, you have to have a passport.
It is definitely a Brexit-related decision and is an extra layer of bureaucracy from our perspective.
The Home Office says the ETA scheme will digitise the UK border, preventing the arrival of those who present a threat. But the owners of this coach company say in recent years their business has been hit by so many factors, including fewer foreign students, that the government has to do a major rethink or more jobs will be lost.
We had to basically beg, steal and borrow in order to stay afloat.
And then when they reopened the borders, of course, only half the people came through because they couldn't because of the passports. So it's having a knock-on effect.
And still is.
And that's why language schools and related businesses want the government to take another look at the ETA scheme. Peter Whittlesey, BBC South East Today, Broadstairs.
And a Home Office spokesperson told us they are introducing electronic travel authorisations to digitise the UK border, enhance security and improve the experience for travellers. Football now. Not a great night for either of our Football League teams, with both Crawley and Gillingham losing. Mansfield went ahead at Crawley from a corner in the 12th minute. Lee Gregory firing home from 12 yards. The Stags then made the point safe in stoppage time through Ben Waine. Gillingham's run of good form ended as they lost 1-0 to Grimsby. Kieran Green grabbing the only goal of the game. The Gills, though, remain top of League Two. Time now for a look at the weather. Nina is with us and it's all perking up again, isn't it?
There's blue skies out there and it feels pretty warm when the sunshine does come out. There are still some showers around this afternoon and we could potentially see 1 or 2 showers tomorrow. Not many. Essentially for the next couple of days the weather is going to settle down and for most of us it's going to be dry and bright. So as we go through the next couple of hours we could see the odd downpour here and there, but fairly few and far between. For most of us it's a dry afternoon with temperatures at around about 16 degrees. And still the risk of these showers is with us through this evening and overnight tonight. But they are gradually clearing and as we start tomorrow morning, temperatures dipping down into single figures. Some early sunshine to get us going tomorrow, a bright start. Then some fair weather cloud just starts to increase through the day. And on that northeasterly breeze, you can see those hit and miss showers, just 1 or 2 with temperatures very similar to today at around 15 to 16 degrees. The high continues to build through Friday and Saturday, settling the weather down. Sunday should start off dry, but we'll just need to watch out for this low, which could potentially bring some thicker cloud and some rain for the second half of the weekend. But at least we've got some sunny skies to come for the next couple of days, Ellie.
Heating off again. On, off, on, off. Thank you very much. That's it from South East Today for the moment. Back to Sally with the rest of the BBC News. Bye-bye.